Hi everyone, it's Allison from Happily Homeless's Moonstruck, and I'm taking this opportunity right now. It's a rare day off that we're going to have here at the Opera Camp. I started work this morning. I did a couple of hours, and but then the director came around and said this is probably the only day off that we're going to have for a long, long time. So just kind of let's not work. So it gets very busy here. Hi, Gail. Hi, Linda. Hi, Michelle. It gets incredibly busy here. We've got to prep the entire area, the campus, for students and staff coming in. So there's every area. My area is the grounds, weeding and whacking and trimming and mowing and doing all the other stuff. So lots and lots and lots more work to do, but we're taking this Sunday anyways, and as the season wears on and then performances start, I mean, there's always just something to do. So usually I work a full days, and then Sunday even I work a few hours. So yeah, here's this day. Hi, Lori. So I wanted to, while I have a chance, talk to you a little bit about the courses that I took with Christina Rasmussen from Life Reentry and with Sarah Nannon from A Grief Unveiled. I know I've mentioned a few things about those courses and how life-changing they were for me and are for me. So I thought I'd go into a little bit more detail right now. I started taking Sarah Nannon's course. Hi, Terry. First, and it's an online course for 10 weeks, and there were 4 other widows in the group with me, and once a week we'd have a live video chat with Sarah. And there's a lot of, she'd send out, she did videos, and she'd send one out per week, and there'd be exercises to do with them and meditations, and hers was about unpacking everything, from our past. And she said to us, this is about more than your dead husband. And it's going back and looking at all of everything we've been taught, that is not necessarily helpful about coping mechanisms and history and relationships and all of that. So there's quite a bit of work, and it all culminated in a weekend retreat at her yoga studio, Rencon Studios in Illinois. So a week after I started taking Sarah's course, Christina Rasmussen from Second First contacted me, and she said she had an opening in her class that she was starting, online class, and would I be interested? And I said absolutely. So I thought, well, it might be kind of intense to do both those courses at the same time, but I don't know, I guess I just have to face it. I'm the kind of person that the more intense it is, the better I do. It's like working under pressure. And so I said absolutely, and I took that course too. And hers, it was weekly video meetings, and there were people in her course from all around the world, widows and widowers. There were some who, a couple of them, their children had died, so it was different kinds of loss. And initially, as I was taking the 2 courses, I was wondering, at how they differed. Is one from this point of view and the other one from that point of view. What I realized, they were entirely, for me, complementary to one another. And it really it was just this great thing for me to just work so intensely and unpack everything, and then I don't know, just the whole thing. So, Christina Rasmussen's course, The Life Reentry, her book Second First talks about being in the waiting room. You're the survivor self, which is what most of us anyways, go into after our loved one has died. We're just surviving. I have been surviving for 5 years. There's little time for anything else. I had the whole fucking warrior goddess thing down pat. I could get out there. I just did whatever needed to be done, like so many of us do. Well, Christina's theory, and she she works from the point of view that the brain must also be healed in grief. It is not just the heart. Hi, Monique. And so she comes at it from that module. And so the survivor self, we're doing that, and then she has a place called the waiting room, which is where we kind of stay because it's so overwhelming to go out into the world and just create a life without, our loved one. And she calls them plug-ins when you do. I have been really good. Hi, Angel. I have been really good at doing plug-ins. I mean, basically my entire life since Chuck died has been nothing but plug-ins because I'm pushing every boundary. I've crossed every boundary zone, every boundary, comfort zone, living this life on the road. It's everything new every day, basically. New people, new things, new places. So I had that down, but I wasn't connecting it to anything. I suppose that's the best way to put it. And so I would venture from the waiting room, do all the plug-ins, but I was still staying in the waiting room. And Christina also has this a designation she calls the watcher self. It's what we something we all have inside of ourselves saying, yes, you can do this, go out and do this, just get out of that waiting room. Once you get out of the waiting room, she has her, it's about finding your thriver self, the self that is able to make it, to create a life. And, with all the pain and everything else. I've always had a thriver self. Most of us do. I just have always called it kind of the flame that was always flickering inside of me. And it just would not go out no matter what. Even with Chuck's death, it did not go out. And I cursed it many a time because I didn't want to kill myself, but I just did not want to be here. It was just too painful. Everything, life without him, everything too painful. So we did work in Christina's class, and then she did a meditation one week near the end of the group, and it was about finding our thriver selves. And I know I posted about that. The meditation consists, and once again I will say, I have never been able to meditate the way that I think you're supposed to meditate, and I've not been able to, like, if they say, well, imagine lying, you're on a beach somewhere and the sound of the water and, yada, yada, yada. And I could never do that. It just never frickin' worked. I couldn't imagine the water, and I didn't have the relaxation that supposedly came from the beach and blah, blah, blah. So I was taken by surprise when this meditation happened. And once again, it was in a video meeting, and it still worked. She had us picture our thriver selves. There's, things leading up to it. But then, and there was a bridge. She said, imagine a bridge. And on the other side of that is your thriver self, which can be a self at any age. Just a time in your life when you felt strong and powerful, and there's your thriver self. So I had my eyes closed, listening to the meditation, the guided meditation, and bam, at the other side of the bridge, I saw my thriver self. And I had posted that picture on my Happily Homeless page, and it was a picture of me. My eyes were bright, and I was wearing a robe, but it was a picture of me that Chuck had taken of me when we were up in Vermont in 2012, as he was starting to get sick, and we didn't know what it was. That that picture was so strong. He and I had, just spent hours. Wild and crazy sex. It was amazing. It was passionate. It was just wonderful. And it also was just about the last time we were ever able to do anything because he started getting so sick. But afterwards, he wanted to take a picture of me, so I put on this robe. And that picture of me, my eyes are clear, and I am happy, and I am filled with joy and engaged in life, like my strongest self. I felt so loved. And that picture, that woman was at the other side of the bridge. Just so very, very strong. That's my thriver self. And it wasn't that long ago. It was, well, now I guess more than 5 years. but that's my Thriver self. And it's like once you find your Thriver self, that becomes your default because you can't unknow what you know, right? That became my Thriver self. So even if I go back into the waiting room, as Christina calls it, and sometimes we need to, for just to rest, or it's just life, everything is too overwhelming, but we just go back there to rest. And then the Thriver self makes herself or himself known again. So I found my Thriver self. And then the very last meeting, video meeting with Christina's class, she said, and this was about envisioning your future, you know, putting yourself at some place, at whatever point into the future, which I have never been able to envision, looking at a future. It was hard enough living my daily life, never mind looking at a future, and because all the implications of that being without Chuck, too painful to contemplate. But once again, leading us through the meditation, just taking a few breaths and closing our eyes, and so she said, I want you to picture a door. And the door is just like, picture the color of it, the texture of it, the door handle, all of that. And so what I envisioned, hi Sandy, was this beautiful wooden door, kind of, it was kind of arched, and it was wooden. So I could see the definition of the wood and the like little, just how the wood was made up. And it was painted this beautiful shade of pink, and it had a gold door handle, and I could see behind it. The door was almost, it was barely closed, like barely latched, and I could feel the energy behind it, whatever that energy was. And so in this meditation, the Thriver self is, you know, so it was the Thriver self approaching this door, this beautiful pink door, and as I put my hand on the doorknob, and I could see myself doing this in the meditation, the imagery, the energy and the electricity, just as soon as I touched the door handle, flew right up my arm, into my fingers, into my hand, all the way up my arm, through my entire body. It was weird. It was just because it was so powerful. It was so unexpected to feel this. And then she said, okay, now turn the knob and open the door. Have your Thriver self open the door. And I, in my mind, with all of this energy pulsing through my body, I opened the door. It almost burst open of its own accord. It was so powerful, the energy behind it. And bam! It was like, God, it was like this epic energy that was behind the door. Powerful. It just kind of burst out of it in color and this radiant light. And I saw myself standing on a stage, and there's stadium seating all, you know, in front of me and to both sides. And Christina was still leading this meditation. Okay, now what do you see? And that's when I saw myself on that stage, thousands and thousands of people sitting in all of these, in this stadium seating, and the energy that was coming from them to me and me back to them was palpable, even in my mind. And I even saw what I was wearing, and I was wearing kind of a paisley pink type of top, kind of a tunic top down to my hips, and a beautiful pair of soft green, like sage green leggings, and these beautiful, beautiful pink leather boots, not hot pink, but like a raspberry pink leather boots. They were knee-high boots with a flat sole, maybe just a 1/4-inch heel, square heel on it. And just standing on that stage, it was incredible. It was so powerful. I cannot tell you, from somebody who doesn't meditate and who can't do imagery, right? And yet here it all was. And then she said, all right, so all of the doubts, the fears, everything that has kept you in that waiting room, she said, take them and put them in this, you know, in this room, in this house. Well, I didn't have any of those come up for me, but what I did picture right away, instead of a house, was my rig, Pink Magic, which is behind me, you can see, parked on a beach somewhere on this beautiful day with the sun out and high clouds, and just, it was so peaceful and serene, and I could hear the sounds of the waves crashing, and my umbrella was up, which I have up right now today. And I just felt this sense of security that this is my cocoon, and this is where I am at my best. There is such a sense of peace with all of that, such a sense of energy. This was all my Thriver self. And I told Christina about this imagery that I'd had, and she said, Allison, this is your future. And if I were you, she said, I'd go out and get those pink leather boots. I would go out and get them, because that is your Thriver self in your future. And that's powerful words to hear when I've not been able to envision a future for so long. Since Chuck's death, haven't wanted a future. I don't know that I want a future now, but the fact is, I am living on this earth without him. And life, I don't know, I guess it's up to me, right? But the other part of that, I can't, like, it wasn't just that. I was taking Sarah's class at the same time. So there's all these emotions and feelings and energy coming from Christina's class and the meditations. So I'm taking Sarah Nannan's class at the same time. And hers culminated in a retreat weekend at her yoga studio in Illinois, where I met the other women in person that I'd been taking the class with. Instantaneously, I mean, we're at the hotel Thursday night, gathering there, and just instantaneous connections. I mean, it was cool. Some amazing, amazing women who were in my group with me. So we start the retreat weekend on Friday morning, and her studio, Sarah's studio, is just so beautiful, and so spiritual, and so filled with loving and peaceful energy and calm energy. And she set up, a friend of hers set up a beautiful altar for us in the middle, or kind of a space for a circle to be around. And she opened the circle. The entire weekend was about meditations and movement and dancing and some really hard work, some art therapy. And Sarah talked about, and we all know this, right? We are more than our bodies. Okay, I understood that, I got it. But she really kind of talked in depth about it, and through a meditation and tarot cards or oracle cards and things like that, got more in depth with it, right? We only pay attention oftentimes to the surface stuff when there's so much more to go into to really have a comprehension of it. And when she was talking about that, I kind of fully took into myself that Chuck, he had this beautiful physical body, but he was more than that also. And I really just fully comprehended it and took it into my soul. And then she led a meditation right after that. And my eyes were closed, and I'm thinking, oh, got another meditation. I'm going to have to, it's like when you go to confession as a Catholic when you're 7 years old, and you don't really have any sins to confess to a priest, so you make them up. I don't know, is that just me? I think not. I made up sins so that I could, I don't know, I felt like it was a test or something, so I could get the penance and all that stuff. So when I meditate, and people are saying, okay, visualize this, visualize that, I'm thinking, okay, I have to be able to tell them something afterwards. So I would just try to force my head, okay, visualize something, anything, get a story. Well, this meditation, very first one that Sarah led us through, after talking about what she did about a person being so much more than their body, than their physical body. Eyes closed, palms up, and open. Bam! Tears started streaming from my eyes. I don't know that I didn't see Chuck. I can't say that I saw him. I cannot tell you exactly how. I just knew. It was Chuck, who was standing maybe 10 feet away from me. And the love that was pouring from him, showering me with that love, his heart bursting with joy for me that I had invested in myself enough to take this course with Sarah Nannan, that I was doing this for myself. The love that was coming from him to me was so potent. It was it became physical. I could feel it. It was all I could do to not fall down on the floor and just start sobbing. I have been seeking a connection to Chuck for 5 years. For people to say, and they have said with the best intentions, oh, he's with you, his love is around you, all these things, it doesn't mean anything. It means nothing because I did not feel it. I did not have that connection. And then what it would make me think is, well, if you know that so definitively, and I don't, but I'm the one who is closest to him on this earth, but you know it, then what is wrong with me? It came back to what is wrong with me that I can't feel this. I knew intellectually, he would be with me in whatever way he's able to be, if he's able to be, and who knows, right? It's all speculation about what happens after death. But of all people, he would not abandon me, but I did not fucking feel it. I've been searching and trying to make that connection for 5 years, and then I'm at this studio for this retreat weekend, and the very first meditation, it's this viable connection, as physical as it could be without being physical, from him to me. Well, the rest of the weekend was exactly that same way. Every time Sarah led a meditation, I felt that love from Chuck just pouring around me and immersing me. It was hard to know how to, well, I didn't try to figure out how to respond to it. Sarah, another thing that I learned in her class was that she'd say, it doesn't have to be this, I'm paraphrasing, it doesn't have to be this huge big thing, feeling gratitude or seeing things or anything else, or signs from our loved ones, because we're the ones that make meaning out of it. But she said, just notice that it happens. And then you give it whatever meaning you want. I've spent all these years too in my brain wondering, okay, what happens when we die? Will I ever see Chuck again? Oh my God, I can't bear it if I'm all this time without him. And, but I'd come to some resolution that, okay, that was it. I had my love story and I had 24 years with him and that was it. But it hurt so much to think that was the end of it. And so I didn't go into my brain about it when this happened on that weekend continually. I just noticed it and was so fucking grateful for it. I've needed that connection. And God, there are so many things that we did in that weekend with Sarah, but one of the other powerful things was that she did an exercise similar to what Christina had done, worded differently, but similar in that she had us, in this meditation, it was, see yourself in the, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, I think is what she said, which, God, yeah, imagine that, right? Eyes closed. Okay, here we go again. But by this time, I was kind of, I'm not even judging myself for what kind, am I going to be able to see something, visualize something or not? It's like, okay, I'm just going with the flow because this shit has been happening. I immediately, it was interesting, saw myself. I wasn't in a house or a building or anything else. I was in this huge field. And of all things, I was astride a horse. And it was a beautiful white horse. Could have been a unicorn, I'm not even sure. But it was this beautiful white horse. And I was wearing kind of similar clothing. I had instead of the sage green leggings, I had a pair of buff colored leggings on, but with those pink leather knee-high boots with a square, about a half-inch heel on them. And I had a beautiful pink shirt on with a full sleeves, and I had a kind of like a leather vest like they'd wear in medieval days. All around me were these banners, pink banners and everything else. And all these thousands of people around me. And once again, that energy going back and forth between me and them. Hi, Alec. And it was like this palpable energy again. And overhead, here's the thing about that one. Overhead, it was a clear day, but there's all these beautiful clouds roiling back and forth, like in this epic, epic way, like you see in the movies. And the clouds they'd kind of come in closer to me, and then they'd pull back again and just kind of roiling around. And what I knew as I was sitting astride that horse was that was Chuck's love and Chuck's energy coming towards me. And then Sarah had us she said, okay, that self that's in the future, go back to the self who is there now, standing off to the side, which was me. And the me on the horse rode over and reached down, and this has to do with an integration, basically, the current self and the future self, an integration of those two selves. The person, the me who was on the horse, leaned down and held out her arm to the me who was standing there and simply said, I am me. Now, what did she say? I am you and you are me. And she reached down a hand and pulled me astride the horse. And as I got on, the two selves, the other self got on the horse, it was like there's a true integration. One melded into the other. That's my thriver self. That's my future self. That's the me I am developing now. That's the me I am creating now. It was also fucking powerful. The connections with my widow sisters, the meditations, the power of it all. Our culture they've kind of really messed us up when it comes to grief, when it comes to grieving, when it comes to supporting people. The language that is used is so much bullshit. We all know grief is not linear. We know if nothing else, it's a spiral. It goes up and down and back and forth. You're pinging here and pinging there. We are told to move on, get on with it. Life goes on. We're given this linear module, which we all know is bullshit. I mean, I knew it back when I was, thank goodness, back when I was facilitating grief support groups. It is not fucking linear. And we're given the word, acceptance is one of them. It's one of the very first ones. Is that, I don't know what the word acceptance really means. We accept the death, right? We know the person is dead. I knew when Chuck died. Okay, man, he's dead. It's not about accepting this new life. In some ways, I think it's about accepting the craziness of this new life as we try to make a new life without them. That has more to do with acceptance. But what I've realized along the way is that more it's been an acceptance that the world is batshit crazy. I'm probably one of the sane people in it, actually. I do not see anything as black and white. There is a lot of work. We do a lot of bypassing in our culture, probably in many cultures, certainly in our culture. We do a lot of bypassing, not just spiritually, but living-wise. And there's a lot of hard soul work that goes into the sweetness on the other side, as Sarah says to people. She says she tells other widows when she sees them, and it is for comforting them, and she'll just kind of lean in and just say very quietly and gently, just put this in your pocket. I want you to know that there is sweetness on the other side of this. Well, finding that sweetness isn't about faking it till you make it. It isn't about, okay, I accept things, okay, that's it. It isn't about any of the bullshit we're told. It isn't about, there's no timeline for grief, but you're at 3 years and I'm getting more and more uncomfortable because I think you're depressed, I think you're this, maybe you need medications. There's a fucking amount of hard soul work that needs to go into getting to the sweetness on the other side, finding your thriver self, finding that life that you can live without your person. And yeah, we are asked, we are told, it's suggested to us deal with this so you can get on with it so that I'm not uncomfortable any longer. I remember a time when I was, God, I've had so many discussions with people about depression. And I've always known I wasn't depressed. I've always known medication for me is not the answer. Sometimes for some people, that is, it can be the coping mechanism that helps them get to the point where they can then start doing some of the work around it. I knew for me, medication would get in the way of the soul work that I needed to do. A lot of what has been happening with me these years, what has kept me so in between, is that I've felt that I've had to defend myself against the so-called cultural norms of dealing with grief, the language that is used around it. And I've known instinctively that that's not the way to do it. That's not healthy. But I've expended all of that energy kind of holding off that energy so that I could try to do what I know I need to do. These two classes, Sarah and Christina, I will be forever in their debt for showing up in my life, for bringing me to this point, for helping me find it, for facilitating it for me, for showing me, yes, there's a lot of hard work and unpacking of so much emotional stuff that can be done to bring you to this point. And more than anything else, what it has been for me is making that connection with Chuck, and then knowing that I don't have to fake any fucking thing. I don't have to pretend. I don't have to do any of the stuff that so many people feel compelled to do when it comes to grief. What I know is that life is hard without him. Life, yes, it is emptier. My life is emptier without Chuck. There is a place in me that is as big as his physical presence was. That's now where his absence is. And that place is just there, and I don't have to try to cover it up or pretend it's not there or walk around it. It is part of who I am. I am his widow. The thing is, what I know now, because of these classes, is that I am all of that, and I am luminous. That's one of the words that I chose at Sarah's workshops. I am magical, and I am loved. Those are the 3 words that I chose when I was at the retreat weekend. I can be this, and I can be that. I don't have to be either this or that. And that's what our culture wants us to do, is choose. That's what okay, if they're not meaning that, then they're doing a very poor job of conveying it. Because every fucking widow and widower I know, pretty much, it's like, okay, I have to pretend to the world. I have to pretend to the world because the world can't stand this, can't tolerate it. We've put up with, you're grieving for this amount of time. So now get on with it. Life moves on. And you know what? In a very loving way, I say, fuck all of that. I am so sad without my husband. Life is so different without him, and it is unbearable to me that he is not in my life. And I am, by God, going to live the most powerful life that has ever been lived. And I'm going to feel that down to my guts, just as much as I feel down to my guts his death and the sadness around that. It's not either or. I can be this and that. And I'm going to look for a pair of pink leather knee-high boots with a 1/2-inch square heel on them in a raspberry pink, and I'm going to find them and I'm going to wear them, because those are the boots that are going to walk me into this life that I will create as a writer, as a speaker, as whatever it is that I am going to do. And more powerfully than ever, more energetically than ever, this life of mine is going to be about the love story I had. It's going to be about connecting with people to let them know, yeah, you can have a love story too, as impossible as it sounds. And you can take all of what you have in you, that you carry in you, and you can still fucking go out and be the most powerful person in the world. And you can live a colorful life and a passionate life. And you can sell everything, and you can go out on the road. You don't have to wait, until your first year of grief is done. I mean, yeah, ideally, how wonderful. Guess what? When you're widowed, you have to make some really hard financial decisions. Sometimes that's selling the house within months so it doesn't get repossessed. Sometimes it's staying in that house. It's buying a new car. It's cutting your hair, dyeing your hair. It's getting involved in a relationship right away. It's waiting forever because you don't want to be in a relationship. It's whatever the fuck you choose. That's what my life is going to be about, is telling people, you know what? Stop listening to what the world is telling you, because the world is fucked up. The world is hypocritical. It's drug dependent. It's got unhealthy coping mechanisms. It's all kinds of shit. But when you look to the people, there is an awful lot of love out there. And that's what I'm going to represent. And that is what I'm finding. And I have been finding for 5 years. I have been on the right track. If anything, these two classes with Christina and with Sarah showed me I am on exactly the right track for my life. I have been ever since the night that Chuck died. And in the months following, when I bought my car, and I said to Anthony Ortega at his garage, I said, create a color pink for me that signifies what I need it to signify. And he gave me the formula, and then I bought my trailer, even though I'd never done anything like camping. Are you kidding me? Towing how the hell do I tow anything? I don't know how to drive when I'm towing something. And I painted it pink, and I put the words nothing but love on my car and my trailer, and I started doing this all up. This is not some fucking girly pink. I've got news for everybody. Most, you know that. But I run into people on the road, oh, that's such a girly pink. No, you know what? No, this is a fucking warrior goddess pink. And these boots I'm wearing, these are fucking warrior goddess boots. And I am the softest, most loving person. And I can get out there and kick ass with the best of them, and I do. And I do it all in the name of love. And you can do your own version of all of this, and that is what my message is to everybody. Stop listening to the fucking world. They don't know. And if it's a mistake what you do, then live with the mistake. Incorporate that mistake into whatever else you want to then do next. Big deal if you make a mistake. And yeah, you might lose some money. I don't know if this is the best thing that I could have done, buy a trailer. I spent the insurance money, a lot of it, on buying this car and this trailer and supporting myself on the road. And then it ran out. And you know what? It didn't freak me out. And I didn't second guess myself, because I did what I needed to do at the time. And that's what we have, is at the time. And then when it ran out, I thought, okay, I want to stay on the road. How do I do that? And so I started talking to people and asking questions. And I found out about work camping. And now I'm work camping, and it's keeping me on the road. There's a lot of other things I'm going to do too. I'm going to finish my book. Okay. I'm hoping, God, next 2 months, maybe the next month, I want to have it ready for publication. I want to, do speaking. I want to start I'm not calling it life coaching, but phone calls. I'm going to call them Odyssey calls, with one-on-one sessions with people for an hour, for talking about all of this, just all of this life that we must create. And it is what I must create. And I don't say that in a negative way. It's like I must create this because the life that I had is gone with Chuck. And I hate that. And at the same time, I'm by God going to make it the most colorful life anybody could imagine without him. Carrying him with me, because I am this and I am this. And I'll be making more announcements about, once I get that thing with Odyssey calls organized. We don't have to hold ourselves to impossible standards as widows and widowers. As people, we don't have to. We do the best we can with where we are at the time, with what we have.
So I made the connection with Chuck and all of his love, massive love for me in the here and now. I've stopped wondering about the afterlife. Will I see him again? It doesn't matter because I have his love now. And I am no longer defending myself, apologizing for anything of what I am. I am a widow. I am the widow of Chuck D. I am his widow because I was his wife. I loved being his wife. I will not defend my use of the word widow. And yes, I've had to do that. I'm not defending anything anymore. Anybody who thinks I don't know, whatever they think, it's like I don't give a grand fuck. Just don't give a grand fuck. This is me, who I am. I wear pink a lot. It is my power color. Chuck said, black isn't your color. Don't mourn for me in black. He said, wear pink. He wanted me to have some powerful color in my life. So I always wear something pink. Everything around me is as pink as it can be, with raspberry shots and pale pink, whatever color. It doesn't, I just bring it all in because I try not to rule anything out. But know that this is not just a fucking girly pink. This is not about girl power. This is about a woman who was loved so deeply and so passionately, who loved equally. Honoring and remembering her husband. And honoring the life now. I am honoring the life I have now as I carry the love of my husband with me. And I'm doing it all in grand fucking pink style. A fucking warrior goddess, absolutely. With a very loving, soft inner goddess strongly at work, shining more powerfully than ever thanks to Christina and Sarah. And this odyssey of love has only just begun. It is taking me places, and it is expanding and growing. And the love is expanding and growing continually also. It will only get stronger. And I love that all of you are here with me, traveling along with me. Some of you have been here from the beginning, and some just recently joining. I kind of go back to what my mom used to say, Allison, I don't know if you're going to be famous or infamous, but you're going to be one of them. Chuck would expect no less of me than to do this in the style that I'm doing it. I expect no less of me because I have the personality for it. So stay tuned. This odyssey of love is going to just explode with more love than could ever be imagined in this world as I'm on the road right now here at the Opera of the Ozarks. So that's my update. Look up Sarah Nannen of Grief Unveiled. She does what she calls clarity calls, where she, it's kind of a consult ahead of time. She'll kind of, you'll both get a feel for each other. And look up Christina Rasmussen from Second Firsts. She is bringing her life reentry models into the mental health world to teach people that what you're doing with grief, no, that's like way, way, way yesterday. There's a new way to do grief. And it's a way that works with both of these women. And they know because they've been in the trenches. So Christina Rasmussen of Second First, Sarah Nannen of Grief Unveiled. Both have books. Both have websites. Look them up. It'll be the best decision you ever made in your entire fucking life. If you have gone through widowhood, child loss with Christina, any kind of loss. Christina's more, there's a lot of widows and widowers, and she herself has been widowed. Sarah Nannen, it's about widowhood. best decisions I ever made was to take those classes with those two women. So look them up, and they might be able to help you come to a different place also in your life. And I thank each of you for being here with me. And I'm going to go now and run some errands. Let me show you a quick, I know I showed you a picture, but let me show you in person my rig, Pink Magic, all set up. That's the front, and I have a banner that my friend Lori made for me that I'm going to be putting up. And I made some, what do you call them anyways, to hang on the front because, you know, you got to add color. And then this was a banner that was made for me that says love across the front. And that's it on the side. I found this lovely butterfly, all sparkly, that I put on the side there. And the back isn't too impressive yet. Honoring my veteran, Master Sergeant Chuck Deering. And this is the signature, I don't know if you can see it, yeah, that Tiger from the High Chaparral Garage put up. Happy trails from us at High Chaparral. David, Tiger, Sterling, Glenn, Scott, and Eddie, Nana, Nana Boy, and Shauna. That's their family. And I've got some good paint pens finally for everybody to start adding their signatures. So this, the whole back of it will be covered. Eventually, my entire trailer will be covered, is what I envision. So there's the car that tows it. And there's my setup. And I hung these little crystals from the umbrella. I've been traveling around with these. Came from a chandelier that I found 25 years ago, a chandelier lying at the side of the road, and I found it a new home with me, and I've been carrying these crystals, I don't know why, for all these years, and I finally found a use for them. So now they add sparkle and light to my setup. And I've got my rug and this chair that was given to me down in Winter Haven, Southern California. So I painted the bottom, the base of the umbrella stand, gold glitter paint, and I made this cover for it. Got that idea at the Renaissance Fair. And I'm going to make another cover for up here. And then this is a banner. It says Love More that my dear friend Elaine sent to me. Oh, here you are, Elaine. Yes, well, there's your banner. It says Love More. I'm using it as a cloth now. And I've got my pink stool there. So what I need to do is get a lot more flowers. I want to get a flower garland to run from one end, right here, I'll tie it off here, and then to run up all the way. I probably need 2 garlands for that, down to the other side. And I want to do that on both sides and then across the back. So, and then I want to cover the tires, since I'm going to be staying put for the summer. I want to cover the tires with flower garlands. I'd like to outline the whole thing, so I need a lot of flower garlands, pink and raspberry colored flowers. If anybody sees anything wonderful out there, I'm actually, one of the things that I wanted to announce is a Glampers Extravaganza, because I really want to do up my site because it's just not obvious enough, right? I've got, this is a heart garland and I put it on the tree, I tacked it up. So, but I want to do more, right? Because too much is never enough in my book. So one of the things that I will do here is announce to kind of bring all of you in to be even more of a part of this. If you want to find beautiful flower garlands, pink, any shade of pink, flower garlands, this will be the Glamping Extravaganza. And you can help me do my place over the top, because no, it is not over the top enough. So flower garlands, that's what I'm looking for. If anybody wants to find them and send them to me, I'm going to give you an address. And I will take pictures, and you can be part of the setup of Pink Magic. And just going batshit crazy with it, right? Because why not? That is my motto for everything in life since Chuck died. Why the fuck not? In the most beautiful, loving way.
So I'm going to head off to do some errands now that I have this day off, and then get to some writing this afternoon. But I thank you all for being here with me and listening to me, because I have gone on a bit. But I really wanted to let you know about those 2 courses that I took, because massive difference in my life. I know that Chuck's love is all around me, and I'm this powerful, luminous, magical woman, even as I grieve my husband deeply. It's everything and everything. So I'll catch up with you again later in the week. And I love all of you. And just get out there and love fiercely. Ti amo.